guys, my name is Andrea, and today I'll be talking about the Gilman Scholarship. And right off the bat, I apologize for the webcam quality. Tried to do this on my iPhone, didn't work out, so just gonna have very bad 2007 potato camera quality, but it's okay because all the information is still the same. So in this video, I'm going to be going over basically what the Gilman Scholarship is, who's eligible, so eligibility, how to apply, some tips and tricks for completing the 3 essays that this scholarship requires, as well as some additional resources. So for a little background on who I am, because I think it's important, like I said, my name is Andrea. I am a first generation student. Both of my parents are from Mexico, so I'm also Latina. I grew up low income, and I'm the first in my family to study abroad. And I think this is important to mention because the Gilman Scholarship is for students who receive the Pell Grant. So it is students who, without federal aid, would not be able to attend college. So these are usually students who are underrepresented in higher education in general. I know especially as a Latina, first gen, low income, students like me are often very underrepresented in higher education, and especially so when it comes to studying abroad. Like in my own personal experience in my program, there were not that many students who shared a similar background as I do to my knowledge. So if you're someone who has a similar background to me, maybe you're also Hispanic, Latina, or first gen, low income, and you think to yourself like, I'll never be able to study abroad, like that is just so bourgeois. Just kidding, but like it's something that's just not going to be possible for me. That is also what I used to think, but it absolutely is not true. It is possible to still study abroad, and there are programs like the Gilman Scholarship to help you be able to do so. And I just think it's so important for students to study abroad if that's something they want to do, no matter what your background is, because like I'm gonna say it like a million times in this video, but studying abroad is such a beautiful and meaningful and like such a cliche, but like life-changing experience. Like you come back from studying abroad like a changed person, seriously. You like learn how to deal with conflict, like being in a country where you might not speak the language fluently. There are different like customs, like social norms, different rules. You come back with like so much confidence and you learn so much about yourself. So I just think it's such an important experience for anyone to embark on, no matter what your background is. So yeah, if you're someone like me who is like low income, first gen, you might be Hispanic, a person of color, and you think like studying abroad is not for people like me, it absolutely is. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what the Gilman Scholarship is. And if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, so that's what that is. So it is basically a scholarship that is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. And they offer scholarships of up to $5,000 to undergrad Pell Grant students to be able to study or intern abroad. So as for eligibility, so this means like who can apply. You must be a United States citizen or national. You must be an undergraduate student, so this is not for people who are getting their master's, for example. Has to be undergraduate with a good academic standing at an accredited university, or institution. So for me, I went to UNLV. So if you're also a UNLV student watching this, UNLV counts because we were accredited. And you must be a federal Pell Grant recipient. So if you do not receive the Pell Grant, this scholarship is not for you, but you know, there are other scholarships out there, so don't, not to crush your dreams, like not the Gilman, but probably other scholarships, right? So yeah, this is for Pell Grant recipients, and you must be in process or already accepted to a credit-bearing study or intern abroad program. So for me, the study abroad program that UNLV uses is called USAC. It doesn't have to be USAC, this is just an example, but USAC counts. And the program minimum must be at least 21 days. So if you're like, oh no, I only want to do like a summer, like only a month, like will that count? It does count. It just has to be, like I said, at least 21 days. So I actually did a summer program myself. I studied for 37 days, a little bit more than a month. So that counts. And I think most study abroad programs, if they're usually like the minimum is like a month, right? Because like you have to take classes. How can you be there for less than 21 days and like learn? But yeah. And then another thing is that you have to be, the country you're going to has to have an overall travel advisory level of 1 or 2. So you can find that information on the US Department of State's travel advisory system, and I'll leave links below. So for example, I went to France, and France has a level 2, so it was safe to go to. So the Gilman will give you money to be able to go there because they care about your safety, of course. That's one thing, side note, that I love about the Gilman program is they really do care for student safety. As for how to apply, you're basically going to go on the Gilman website and create an account. And the first thing you're going to do is fill out forms. So it'll just be basic information. It'll ask you like what program, like your major, what your GPA is, if you're a United States citizen, if you're a Pell Grant recipient, things like that. It's pretty straightforward. Then you're gonna obtain your unofficial transcript, so it does not have to be your official transcript, just unofficial. And for the UNLV students, you can find this on my UNLV under academic records. And you're also gonna need 2 advisor certifications for this application. You're gonna need your study abroad advisor and your financial aid advisor. And if you don't know who they are because you've never spoken to them before, you can just contact your normal advisor and say like, hey, I'm applying for the Gilman scholarship. They'll probably know what it is because it's a well-known scholarship. I need my financial aid and my study abroad advisor certification. Can you give me their contact info? You know, simple as that. And they're there to help you, so they should be able to help you. And then after that, you're gonna write and upload your 3 essays that the scholarship requires. And so for the 3 essays, they are the statement of purpose, the building mutual understanding, and the follow-on service project proposal essays. The essay you need to complete is the personal statement essay, and this is probably the essay you're going to spend the most amount of time on. It's going to really be like the meat of your application because it's the longest essay, and it answers like very important questions. So the first question, and I'm so sorry for looking down at my phone, I do not have this memorized, of course. So the first question is going to be, how will studying or interning abroad help you achieve your future academic and professional goals? And so if you're someone that is not trying to like work in the country that you're going to, like I'm not trying to work in France most likely, I'm not trying to be like a French teacher, I actually want to be, like I said, a therapist. So it might seem hard to try to make a connection, but you absolutely can. Like for me, I talked about how to become a therapist, it's an ethical obligation to be culturally competent. So going to another country and studying abroad in a different country will help improve like understanding different cultures, being respectful, learning about like diversity in a different country, and that's something that I can apply to in my future career. So that's just an example of what you can say. Just really try to make a connection between your professional goals or your academic goals and where you're going to study abroad. So you can figure this out by like learning more about the country, and you should research the country you want to go to, of course. The second country is, how did you select your specific program in host country? So for me, I talked about how I've always loved the French language, French music, French movies, like French culture, and in this essay, you really want to make it personal. It is a personal statement essay. So I drew from my own experiences, and I talked about how like I've always wanted to learn French, but since I went to low income like Title I schools, they did not even offer French as an option. So I wasn't even able to learn. So I would try to teach myself through like getting books from the library, which is true. And then when I went to UNLV, I took French and I like excelled at those classes. So you know, you want to talk about like why you want to go to this country, right? The third question is, how are you academically prepared to be a successful scholar abroad? If you have faced significant academic difficulties, tell us about those and how you're overcoming them. So if you're like a good student, you really want to sell yourself. So like me, I was not trying to be humble. I was like, yep, I am on the dean's honor list. I always get like the highest scores in my French classes. I'm like a good student. My GPA, I always have a 4.0 GPA. Like, you really want to sell yourself if you can. But if you're someone that has faced academic issues, so like you can be like a full-time student and have like 2 part-time jobs or have a full-time job. Like, it's not easy to do that and still do well in school, which like if that's your situation, like you should absolutely be proud of yourself. And you should talk about that in your scholarship if that applies to you. And you want to talk about how you overcame them. So like you've had this conflict, this challenges, but you were able to overcome it anyways. And you want to show them that you're gonna study abroad and you're not just gonna skip classes and like just go hang out at the Eiffel Tower. You know, like you're actually gonna go to class and learn from like, you know, you have the opportunity to learn from like professors in that country. Like the last question is, what examples of knowledge, skills, and experiences will you draw on to meet the challenges of going abroad? So again, you know, everyone has a unique background, so you really want to draw on that in your essay. So I talked about how I'm Mexican American, so I really have two cultures. I'm American and I'm Mexican, and that's something I've had to juggle my whole life and deal with my whole life. And so like having that experience of, you know, being between two cultures, like I know what it feels like to not always like understand what's around you, and like having that conflict inside. So like going to another country and a different culture, like I've kind of dealt with that a little bit before. So that's kind of what I talked about. But of course, make this your own. This is just an example. I mean, you can talk about how like you've been to another country before, how you live in like a diverse community, you know, things like that. You know, just really like search inside yourself, because this has to be about you, you know? And this is from the Gilman website themselves. 5 questions to ask yourself. So you're really gonna like, while you're writing, I would go back to these questions and then like go back and forth to make sure you're answering them. So the first one is, do you make a connection between your program and goals? Do you make a connection between your country and goals? Do you share how you're going to be academically successful? Don't just say you will, say how, and like how you've done it before, for example. Do you give examples of your experiences, skills, and knowledge that you'll use to meet program challenges? And do you address how this abroad experience will impact your future? So the second essay is the Building Mutual Understanding essay. This is a shorter essay. It's only 3,000 characters, not words by the way, characters. And you're gonna answer the following question. As a US citizen, how will you represent and share what it means to be an American citizen during your program? How will you seek opportunities to become a more culturally engaged and have meaningful interactions with people and cultures different from your own during your study abroad program? And again, the 3 questions to ask yourself. 1, do you articulate how you will represent the United States as a citizen, diplomat while abroad? Do you explain how you will contribute to the goal of building mutual understanding? Do you discuss how you will look for opportunities to build meaningful relationships and become more culturally engaged? So I'm gonna be super real. If you're trying to go to Europe, obviously not everyone thinks this way about Americans, but there is an overall stereotype that, and you need to be aware of it, and usually your study abroad program will make you very aware of it, that there's a stereotype that Americans are rude, obnoxious, closed-minded, unintelligent, ignorant, like even like unfashionable. So you're really gonna try to show the Gilman committee that you're not just gonna show up, like for example to France and be like, not try to speak any French and be like, why isn't everything in English? Why do their stores close at this time? Why do they eat at this time? Why do they eat lunch for so long? Why don't they have like a 3-course meal for breakfast with pancakes and bacon like Denny's? Like that's not how things are in France, for example. You know, and you might think to yourself like, okay, like for example for myself, like I'm only going to be there for like a month, like how many meaningful, you know, connections am I going to make with French people? Because you might just be with your study abroad fellow peers. But you know, for me, I actually became like friends with one of the girls, the French girls who lived in my dorms. So she was actually like the American equivalent of like an RA basically. And so like I remember one day we would eat around the same time in the shared kitchen, and I like was like, you know what, I'm gonna ask her like, how does the metro and the tram work, because I don't know, I just had questions about it. And she was actually so sweet, and like even though there's like a language barrier, like she spoke only French to me, and not me and my like, I only have like a year's worth of French experience knowledge, and we would like go back and forth, and like it was really sweet. Like we would talk about like the differences between France and the US, and I would like tell her like about you know, the US, and I would also tell her like about me as a person, how I'm not just American, I'm also Mexican American. And it was really sweet because like she was trying to learn Spanish and English, so I would like try to teach her. And like I remember one time she made me cookies. Like it was such a sweet like short friendship I had with her. And so I really hope, and I know I did, come away from that relationship with like a positive view of French people, and I hope she had that for me as an American. Okay, so the third essay is going to be the follow-on service project proposal. And this is also a shorter essay. It's 3,000 characters as well. And basically in this essay, you're going to come up with a project with the goal of promoting the Gilman Scholarship. So some examples of projects, it's not limited to this. Be as creative as you want, guys. But like one of them, you can do a presentation, a brochure, flyer. You can be a peer mentor to someone else who wants to study abroad. And you can submit an article to a newsletter, something like that. And the 5 questions you want to ask yourself again: does your project increase awareness of the Gilman Scholarship and study abroad? Is your project feasible? So is it realistic? Can you actually do this? Do you give a detailed plan? So you're not just going to say like, I'm going to make a slideshow. You're going to say like, and I'm going to present it to my French club, for example. Just an example. Do you include your study abroad experience into your project? And do you have an intended audience? Who will you collaborate with to reach this community? So of course this YouTube video is my follow-on service project. So yeah. And then there's actually an optional scholarship that you can do. It is called the Critical Need Language Award, and this is for students who are going to study abroad in a country that has a language spoken that is critically needed in the world. So for example, if you're going to Korea or Japan, Japanese and Korean are not very widely spoken, so we want more people who speak that language that are Americans. So you can get an award of up to $8,000, and you're going to do a 4th essay, which is the Critical Need Language essay. It is an even shorter essay. It's 2,000 characters. So like for me, French is obviously extremely widely spoken in multiple continents, so I did not apply. But like, for example, if you're trying to go to Japan, I know a lot of students go to Japan or Korea, that you can win $8,000, which is awesome. As for tips, my first tip is to start early. I actually did not start early. I think I found out about this scholarship like within a couple days of the deadline. And so I really went back and forth with myself whether or not I wanted to torture myself with completing 3 essays and a whole application, or maybe it was more than that, but I remember I had a short amount of time, and so I just really bit the bullet and I did it anyways, because the worst thing that could happen is you just don't get it, and the best thing that could happen is that you do get free money to study abroad. So just do it, guys. Really, please just apply. Please, because I was someone who never applied for any scholarships, like ones that you had to actually write an essay for, because I was like, I'm not gonna win this, and so I had low self-confidence before, but I really wanted to go to France, so I was really determined, so I was just screw it, I'm just gonna try, and then I ended up getting it. And so my second tip is to be honest and open, with the personal statement essay. Talk about yourself. Draw from your unique experiences, because you are unique, okay? Everybody, you might think I'm boring, but you're not. Everybody is special. Everybody has experiences that are personal to them only, and you should really talk about that, right? With what you're comfortable with. The third tip is to research your destination. So don't just pick a country because it seems cool. Okay, I'm gonna go to Spain because they party a lot in Ibiza. No. You're I want to learn Spanish. I think Spanish culture is awesome, for example. I had researched France for years. I've tried to learn French. I learned about their culture through the internet and through, classes. So yeah, research your destination. You need to know about where you're going, okay? And then the last tip is just be confident and apply, guys. Please just apply. You never know. You might just get $4,000, $5,000. You just might. And isn't that awesome? Just for, writing some essays. So please apply. Don't be like me in the past where I thought I would never be able to get this. And then the one time I tried, I got it. So please just apply. And for selection criteria, this is what the Gilman committee is going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at the program and destination impact on the student's academic and professional career. So it would probably be better if I had wanted to be a French teacher, but even so, I still talked about wanting to do social work and therapy, and I was still awarded the Gilman. Community impact abroad and return home. Academic preparedness, so again, don't be humble. Talk about how great of a student you are, right? and diversity of background and experience. So again, representation in my opinion is just so important. We need more students with diverse backgrounds to be able to study abroad and go to different countries, because it people's perception of Americans is based on like who visits their country. So if there's only one type of person that visits France, for example, they're gonna base all of Americans off of that group of people, and we don't want that. We want as much diversity as possible, and we want to show them that Americans aren't, the stereotype all the time. Not that they always think that, of course. It's just a stereotype. Some people believe in it, some people don't, of course. But yeah, America is so diverse. Therefore, Americans who study abroad should also be diverse, right? That's just my belief. And then as for resources, some of these are unique to UNLV students, but they're still applicable to you if you don't go to UNLV. Like for example, the UNLV Writing Center. I'm sure most universities have like a writing center where you can get essay help, of course. Then UNLV also has OWL Consultation, so I know other schools have this where you can submit your essay online, and then someone will edit it and give you tips and tricks, so I would recommend doing that as well. The UNLV Study Abroad program also gives you tips and tricks and like hold seminars on like essay writing tips. So I'm sure other universities also do the same thing, but you could also look on YouTube and there's tons of resources as well. Gilman's FAQ, their frequently asked questions page. If you have any questions, it might already be answered there, right? So you want to check that, and again, all links will be in the bio. And then USAC also has an essay writing tips page that I will include. The USAC, even if you don't want to go to USAC, they still have lots of tips for applying for Gilman that you might want to check out. The Benjamin Gilman website, of course. And then if you go to UNLV, they do have a website, like a page where they have a list, like like a form and spreadsheet of like all these different scholarships. So like you don't just apply for Gilman, apply for other scholarships as well. And it'll have like a list of like, oh, this is for France, this is for Japan, this is for first gen, this is for LGBTQ+, so on and so forth. Because there's one that's like only for women of color, of course. And so yeah, those are just some resources. Yeah, this concludes my video about the Gilman Scholarship. I hope I answered all of your questions about it. If you have any questions, absolutely leave a comment. I'll try my best to respond. And then I made an email specifically for like any Gilman questions. So if you have any questions, you could absolutely email me. I will not judge you. If you have like no idea, you don't even know where to start, like email me and I'll try to help you out to the best of my abilities. But yeah, anyways guys, thank you for watching. I hope this was informative. I hope I helped. If I helped at least one person study abroad, then I will be so happy. Like, that is my goal. So yeah.